We're tracking the latest with Debby as it slowly moves through the southeast, creating flooding rains and severe weather potential from the plains all the way to the northeast. So Debby made landfall as a Category 1 hurricane. Wind, not so much the issue with Debby, but this flooding rain potential. She's going to move very slowly through the southeast over the coming days and dump just some incredible historic rainfall amounts. So here's Debby, the last 12-hour radar and satellite loop, and you can see as she made landfall there in that sort of northwest part of Florida, the Gulf Coast side of things, and slowly she's going to move through Georgia, the Carolinas, up into Virginia. Look at this track. So making landfall early this morning, Monday, and by Saturday, the center of Debby is only in North Carolina. So that's why we're going to see just these torrential rainfall amounts here, because it's going to be moving very slowly and lots of water and moisture with Debby, and the undeniable climate change footprint here. We know these systems are producing more water because of a warmer atmosphere. So rainfall totals over 20 inches of rain potentially here across the coastal areas of Georgia, South Carolina, up even into North Carolina. Some places could see more than 2 feet of rainfall over the coming days. That is just unbelievable amounts of moisture. And we are also watching another disturbance, 30% chance of it becoming a tropical cyclone here in the next 7 days. So following maybe a similar route that Debby did. There's also a slight risk of severe weather today with Debby. We've talked about this before with hurricanes. Tornadoes are often the case as they make landfall because all that shear, and then it's sort of like trying to stop a moving train and you get lots of spin up. So along those coastal areas, that will be possible today too. But there is severe weather that we're watching for the plains too. Southeastern Minnesota, northeastern Iowa, southern Wisconsin, Illinois, and then all the way up into Maine, because this is basically along a frontal boundary that stretches from Montana all the way into the northeast. This is a almost stationary boundary here, and we have several disturbances kind of taking advantage of that. So we could see scattered severe storms all along that boundary from basically the Dakotas and Minnesota to Maine here over the next 24 hours. We have slight risk of severe weather along those areas. And then along the Great Lakes, best chance of tornadoes, southeastern Minnesota, northeastern Iowa, into southwestern Wisconsin with these storms that develop initially this afternoon. We've got a broad area of rainfall across central Minnesota today, but south of that, closer to the warm front and a low pressure center, we're going to see some sunshine. Supercells could develop in southern Minnesota and then track across northeastern Iowa into southern Wisconsin through the overnight tonight. And it's those initial cells that could produce potentially some tornadoes, large hail, damaging wind gusts. This is the significant tornado parameter right along the Minnesota-Iowa border here this evening, and then into northeastern Iowa. And then that tornado threat will diminish as we head into the late evening and overnight. But also risk mostly of large hail, damaging wind gusts from in Ohio into Pennsylvania, New York, upstate New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, and into Maine. Low risk of tornadoes there. And then tomorrow, that slight risk is for central Montana, still around that frontal boundary. Marginal risk continues across parts of the northeast. And then the day 3 outlook, marginal risk continuing western Nebraska into the western Dakotas, a little bit lower risk of severe storms. So tropical weather and typical late summer severe storms from the plains into the northeast.